Welcome, friends, to episode 321 of Color of Magic, a Magic Gaming podcast where we talk about all types of issues that affect gamers at and away from their gaming tables and computers. I am your host, PowrDragn, and for 321 episodes, still got my main man who apparently survived daylight savings time with the rest of us. Brian Sonic, how's it going, dude?
Daylight saving time is a scam. We all know it.
It feels like it is, though, right? Like it just doesn't feel necessary anymore. Like, I get it. There was a time where everybody was farmers and, daylight and changing and all that. But like, we have lights and even the machines they work with have headlights and stuff now. And it's just not a thing.
Especially so many of us work from home. It's like, what purpose does this still serve?
Yeah, society's just so different now. Hell, we have parts even of the US that don't even deal with daylight savings time, which I thought that was crazy to find out. But like, there's just some people that sometimes you're on the same time as California, sometimes you're not, right? It's just kind of how it works.
We're not doing it.
Which I remember it being weird, I think because I had to fly into somewhere, and maybe it was like Phoenix or something. I don't remember. But
yeah, I want to say Arizona is one of them.
Yeah, but I remember trying to do the math, and it was like, it says it's this long, but why is there only an hour different? Like, what? And I always remember just being confused, like something's not right. And then it was like, oh, they don't do daylight savings time. I'm like, okay, well, that obviously makes way more sense. So I get it. But yeah, man, I don't know what's been going on for people this week, but I got to tell you, I tried to watch that dinosaur show on Netflix, and man, it was bad. I do not recommend it. I mean, granted, we're two nerds in my house that sat down and try to watch it. But man, I would have lost my house if I was wrong, because I would have been willing to bet that script was written by AI. It's real bad. And it's mediocre CGI at best. And like, we've done better stuff with Jurassic Park, right? You could see better stuff with the animatronics if you're just walking around Universal Studios. Like, not even a full motion picture budget. So it's like, yeah,
but they're not going to upload some to Netflix every week. You just got some weeks, I guess, where nothing big comes out.
I guess so, man. And it was one of the top rated shows. It's high rated on Rotten Tomatoes.
Off my head, I can't think of what else dropped on Netflix this week that was worth watching.
Raw and Bridgerton, apparently.
Yeah. Like those are pretty much, I guess, is it a new season of Bridgerton? I don't even know. And of course, Raw is a weekly show. So
I think so. It's a new season, or newer season. But yeah, crazy stuff. But anyway, we got a lot to cover. There's a lot of Magic stuff. There's actually some D&D related stuff, or at least role-playing stuff. Some video game things. There's a lot of little kind of news from all over the place this week. But before we get into that, y'all know the drill. We got to tell you, we'd love your support for the show over at patreon.com/colorofmagic. Just go over, hop out, drop us a little thing, and you might get a shout out just like Trevor Campbell for being a patron. So thank you, Trevor. And also, if you want to save some money on Magic, if you want to shop for all the cards that are available in Magic, and you want to get a free $5, go check out our friends over at Manapool. It's manapool.com/promo/color-of-magic. Literally takes you like a minute or less to go sign up. And when you're done, you have points in your account that are equal to $5 you can spend on whatever you want on their website. It's that simple. Like, really, they are giving away money. Matter of fact, I need to check. I think we only have 22 slots left. Yeah. So I don't know how they're going to honor it. I'll talk to them, try to get some more opened. But for now, you might want to get over and sign up, because slots are filling up at least for this round. So we'll see what happens. But either way, go sign up, get your free money, and you get to support the show. Like, it's a win-win for everybody. It's manapool.com/promo/color-of-magic. But all right, dude, let's talk about some Magic prices real quick, because things, we keep getting into this rut where people say, it's too expensive and nobody's spending on that, and the bubble's going to burst on Magic. And it feels like every week we see some new thing rocketing up in price and people are still paying for it. So I don't know, but there was a card this week called Flash Photography. And many of you are probably going, Flash Photography, what's that? I don't even know if I've even seen that card. Well, that's because it's only available in one of the holiday scene packs for Final Fantasy that came out at the end of last year. You probably didn't even know this card existed. which
I didn't. I'll happily. I did not know.
yeah, which is not a surprise. A lot of people don't. But that's also why this card is expensive because there's not very many of them out there. So to read the cards, everybody knows what it is. Flash Photography is 2 blue blue. It is a sorcery. You may cast this spell as though it had flash if it targets a permanent you control. And you create a token that's a copy of target permanent. It has flashback of 4 blue blue. So obviously this is really good. It lets you copy anything on the battlefield. It can be played as flash speed. If you copy one of your own things, you can use it twice. Obviously in Commander, if you play, there's going to be a bunch of choices of things you could copy if you want to. Makes sense that the card's gone up, but it literally went up from $10 to as much as $60 on some websites, which is crazy in a matter of just a few days. My guess is a bunch of people just discovered what the card was. What's funny is in the past week, you still could have bought the actual scene packet came in for 50 to 60 bucks. So I mean, somewhere, some people paid more than the actual product it came in to just get the card, which is mind blowing. But hey,
I guess that's the only card in there that's that is see and play. I guess makes sense.
I guess, but also people just may not even know where it came from. They might have just went to a website and went, "Well, I guess I need one," and just bought it. You know.
Also that.
But we've seen that for years though, right? And this is why when people say like the bubbles bursting, or whatever, like at some point things will have to mellow out, right? You can't arrows go up at a damn near rocket rate forever, right? At some point they will slow down. But there's always been people who will just walk in and say, "Hey, here's a list of cards I need. Just tell me what it costs." Swipe the card, right? And those people still exist today. Now, the other crazy thing is cards we knew were probably going to be expensive. In the Ninja Turtle set, they made a black and white style art of each of the Ninja Turtles, and they have Eastman's signature on them with the little sketch. One of them has like I think, a Shredder helmet or something on it. Now, I don't think they're actual signatures. I think they're the inked signature or whatever you call them, the gold foil. But they are very rare inserts. I think I've only seen one even posted in a Facebook group, any of the groups that I'm in. But we've seen some now finish auctions on eBay for the first time post release, and they're going for $3,500. I would not be surprised if they even go up a little bit from there, but that's kind of wild, dude. Like, if we're saying the bubble's bursting and nobody's chasing these inserts and things are valued too high, like, activity says otherwise right now.
And I think even after the inevitable bubble burst, an autographed Ninja Turtle card is a thing that, like, it's like a one ring. Like, those will always find their audience, regardless of what else is happening in the Magic scene.
Yeah. And, we were just talking a couple weeks ago about Eric Klug, doing an altar that sold for 16,000 or whatever, right? Like, there's money still just flowing through collectibles, right? And it's not
Collectors are
just
collectors. They don't care if anybody else is buying it. They want it.
Yep.
They could care less about whether it's profitable for anybody else.
I agree. And I think that's also, it's a good and a bad problem, right? Like them existing gives your collections value, right? Like you need those people to exist so the things you're buying have some secondary market value. The downside of that is though, if it's popular things and they get an interest in it, prices are going to go up, and it sucks if you want to try to buy one. You know, it's a catch-22 type situation, and you'd rather things have value than not. So long term, your collection has value and whatever. It just sucks when it's a thing you really want and you can't go get the one you want. Like, or I will say this, right? Magic, not just Magic. I think multiple games have gone this route where.
And I think there is a small amount of people where they don't care if they're collecting. They just play the game because they love the game. They don't care if the collection ever increases in value. That's not what they're there for.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I think that what I was about to say is I think it's good that a lot of the game companies have started going to versions where it's like there's a $1 to $5 version if you want that. And then there's still the, I don't know, $500+ version if you want that. So if you want to be the collector that's going to bling out your deck and everything's the rarest version of whatever and blah, 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 and you want to have whatever, the $10,000 deck or whatever it is, cool, you can do that. But if you also want to build the $100 deck, That's an option, right? So, not a bad thing. It just sucks when, if you were a Magic player that was a old school 80s, 90s Ninja Turtle fan and you wanted to get your hands on a set of 4 of these, Eastman signatures or whatever. I mean, at this rate, it's going to cost you 14K, which is nuts. But, we also have somebody that spent $2 million on a One Ring. So, I don't know, man. like I don't know what makes sense or what's right or not anymore.
I'm sure there are comics you could buy that, if they're autographed by Eastman, would have the similar value.
Yeah, that's very
Or,
true.
insert creator here,
Yeah.
especially if that creator is no longer with us.
Well, and that comes back a little bit to what we've said about the idea that one of these sets this year could beat Final Fantasy's numbers, right? If you juice, and that's why I keep pointing to the Marvel set, Marvel superheroes. If they juice that set with this type of stuff, where it's original artworks, gold foils, one of one, I don't know, gauntlets or whatever, sure, right? People might go nuts to buy up cards and get complete sets, and comic book fans will be excited about it. And like, okay, those could be things. But if it's not that, I don't know where that's going to come from. But we'll see. We still have a lot of the year to go. It's only March, surprisingly. Feels like a bunch of things has happened already. But yeah, let's get
Maybe
into the
maybe they got a
okay.
bunch of Star Trek autographs. Who knows?
Ooh, maybe,
Maybe
maybe.
they got Shatner autographs in there and Picard.
You know what's possible? They could do. I think we mentioned this before in the show, but redemption cards could be a thing, right? Like Panini, if you get an autographed like jersey or something, it's just a card and you mail it in, and then they mail you the jersey. You could do stuff like that with Paramount, right? Like, hey, you get a slide from one of the movie reels, or you get Shatner's shirt from the first season, or so. I don't know, whatever. There could be all kinds of stuff that people might be able to get, which could go nuts. So who knows? But yeah, this week we do have a soapbox, but not to the total theme people think. And I say that to say that this isn't so much of a gripe as much of a way to kind of reinforce some things we've talked about on previous episodes in the current climate of the world today. Because I think there's a lot of people I've seen lately posting about how their whole feed is just literal doom scrolling now. It's everything's upset, the world's on fire, which I'm not going to say ignore the news because it's important. There's a lot of very big things going on around the world, obviously. But you also need to interact more with the things you enjoy, right? Not just the comments that are negative, not just the posts that are negative, not just the videos that are complaining. Like when you see something that's fun, happy, interesting, educational, whatever, leave a comment, retweet it, share it, talk about it with your people. Because all these algorithms are designed to show you more of what you're interacting with, show you more of what you're spending time on, because all of their goals are to keep you on their platform the longest, right? They're trying to sell you revenue or sell their ad revenue, right? Their ads to you, get you to buy more of their services or whatever the case is. So if you see a fun video about your favorite game, or somebody hit their high score, or somebody doing a fun cosplay, or whatever it is, comment on that stuff. Share that stuff with your community. Mention it to your game store, like, hey, this would be a fun idea. Why don't we try this format or whatever it is, right? Tag your favorite people, whatever. That's how you change some of that. So you can get some of that positive, what is it, the serotonin going on, among all this other negativity that's happening. Because, yes, like I said, don't ignore it. It's very important. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. But there is a mental health component to all of this, right? And this is kind of top of mind because this weekend we'll be at the Hunter Burton Memorial Open, right? Which is a charity event to prevent suicide, which, largely caused by mental issues or mental stress at the very least. And you kind of need to decompress. You got to make things a little more positive for yourself. And that's an easy way to do it. And again, if y'all are going to be down at the Hunter Burton this weekend, It's in Hearst, Texas, Hunter Burton Memorial Open.com if you want the details. But I don't know, Brian. Do you do this stuff, or do you just ignore some of the negative posts that come across, or how do you deal with this type of thing?
I kind of just take what it sends me and really have it, So I think it's probably an even mix, but I'm sure there's a lot of, hey, like you said, somebody scored 42 points last night. Then there's also some, hey, what's this idiot doing over here? So I feel like it's 50-50. Now, if I were to, well, let me see if YouTube's open over here. I'm sure it's open on one of these.
I
Because
mean,
again, what you think you have on your feed and what you actually have on your feed are sometimes not the same thing.
oh
But
yeah,
yeah, look at what it's showing me, like how to solo queue Marvel Rivals. Sarcasm is your love language. So it looks like a mixture thereof.
yeah, and mine's pretty well curated as well. Like I will search out news when I want to know things. There's a couple of sources I follow for news and whatnot between my different social platforms. But also, if I just hop on YouTube, it's magic videos, it's wrestling, it's food stuff, uh, just computer things. I think because I was every once in a while I'll look at tech stuff to kind of keep up on, do I need to upgrade my machine for something? So I try to keep it balanced as well, and I think that's what helps me a lot because the news is always going to be there, the doom's always going to be there. I just need to be aware of it enough to know what's going on and how it's going to affect me. For example, I did look up some stuff this morning because I have to get on a plane tomorrow, and with everything going on and in DC, some airports are backed up because of TSA issues. Right? Fortunately, we're not having that in SeaTac, but I'm checking it about every 4 or 5 hours just to know,
Crazy.
like, do I need to be at the airport 2 hours early or 5 hours early? Like, let me make sure. But other than that,
I
yeah,
heard
just
5 for DFW. Thankfully, I'm not flying anywhere anytime soon.
yeah. I was thinking about that on the way out. I'll have to leave very early from DFW, which sucks. But getting in won't be a problem for me, I don't think. But yeah, man, crazy, crazy stuff. But yeah, you gotta take care of your mental health, man. That's the moral of this story. Like, take some steps, curate your social feeds. Sometimes it'll take a couple of days, but if you do it enough, the systems do learn very quickly of like, oh, you're in a because mine changes, especially right now because football season's over. Very little football stuff, right? But the minute we get back into training camps and preseason and all the fantasy football leagues or whatever, I'll comment on 2 or 3 things, and then it starts right back up. It's like, "Oh, you're into football right now. Here you go," right? So, they figure it out. They always do. But alright, man. Let's talk about some fun stuff that we learned this week, because this one's kind of funny on my end, and I wanna say my issue is a thing that goes way back, at least at this point, almost 20 years. So, this isn't even a new problem, as it turns out. But I was reminded because I saw a comedian today, and he was talking about how his son had recently graduated high school, and as typical, family sends you gifts or money or whatever, and dad told him, cool, we'll do a graduation party, but at the end of all this, you got to send thank you cards to everybody. And a week or two went by, and dad's like, hey, why didn't we send these thank you cards out? And he says, well, I didn't have stickers for them. And he kind of looks and says, say what? And he explains it to him. He says, you mean stamps? And the kid just said, call them what you want. They're stickers. And I'm like, he's not wrong. They kind of are stickers, though. And I've never really thought about it that way. But it reminded me, I had a time in my shop where I had one of the employees helping me. And I was like, hey, here's these things we got to mail out. Here's the addresses, fill out the envelopes and we'll just stamp them up and I'll take them to the post office. And fortunately, as I was walking out the door, I was like, wait a minute, these don't look right. And realized he didn't know how to address an envelope. Well, they would have got returned right back to us because he had the return address in the wrong spots. And I was like, oh, well, that's a thing. And I remember having to explain to him. And I just thought, okay, maybe this is just a thing. He didn't learn it in school. Parents didn't tell him, whatever. But as I'm reading through the comments on these videos, there's several parents that said their kids don't know anything about how to use stamps or how to fill out an envelope. Or some of them, one lady even said her kid didn't even know she could go into a bank. Like, that was my, because I almost get it if your kid who's never had to deposit funds, right? Because even now, like you take a picture of the back of the check
Yeah.
and you sign it, whatever.
Or direct deposit. Who uses
Yeah.
paper for their paycheck anymore? Almost nobody.
So it's kind of interesting to see we're in a world where a bunch of people don't know how to do basic functions because they've just changed drastically in how they interact with those functions.
Yeah.
N-
I'd
Now,
argue they aren't even basic functions anymore. Basic
yeah,
implies people still occasionally do them. And again, that just that they've gotten to, let's say in that kid's case, probably 17, 18 years old and never actually mailed a letter before because they don't. None of their friends do. A fair amount of their relatives, even the older ones, don't send letters anymore.
yeah, I still feel like letters, I mean, because, different services, bills, official documents, whatever, still come in the mail. So that makes sense. But I can see a world where a lot of people don't know how to use banking functions. Because like letters, I'm at least all right. I can still say like I see a lot of uses still for them, but banking I kind of get. Like I still go to a bank because I like going in and deposit. Sometimes I got to make change for something, or when I have my piggy bank fill up over here, I take it in and whatever. But I could see a world where some kids have grown up and don't ever really know how a bank works or what a bank even does other than hold money.
Exactly. 'Cause let's say your parent deposits their check on the weekend. In a lot of cases, the bank, the front is not open on the weekend. Only the drive-through is open. So you probably have never seen your parent go inside a bank to make a transaction.
Yeah. I mean, I would say most of the times I've even gone in has been because I've sold something in person where I had cash and I just didn't
Yeah,
want to carry that much cash around, or maybe
exactly.
I had a good poker night or something. I've got like $400 or $500. It's like, let me just deposit this. I don't need this in my pocket.
Yeah, for defensive driving, I would go into the bank usually because same thing, you'd have a fair amount of money on you, so you don't want to be running
Yeah.
around with that.
So that's probably the only, but an average kid it may never have more than $40, $50 on them. So why would they need to go to a bank? They just use the cash or whatever money your parents put in your cash app or something, you know. So yeah, it's interesting. It's just a thing I never considered being that widespread of a thing. But I mean, hey, times change. You know, I don't know. I guess you're a father. Like, do your kids use these functions, or do they
I can't
know?
imagine they've sent anybody a letter recently. I think all they're like, Jordan's on with a quote unquote job, and he does direct deposit. So I think he's probably been inside the bank with one of us before, but
Yeah, that's funny. Your oldest might have. Your youngest may not have.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
But
It's
still, I think his check comes by direct deposit.
yeah. That's an interesting to think about. It's I know some people are listening to this now, their backs hurt and all of a sudden, but
Right.
yeah, but I'm just saying, man, things change. And it also goes the other way too, right? Where people older than us are very skeptical about using technology for purchases.
Right.
Whereas people younger than us, they're like, nah, they know what's safe, what's not, they know how to use it, they know how to spot scams, they just roll with it.
You have a grandpa or auntie or somebody that has basically like a pirate's treasure stash inside the house somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, that's a true people don't know this actually. Like the older generation, and I'm talking like your grandparents, in some case your great grandparents, because of the Great Depression and all that stuff. Like they were very leery of keeping money in banks. So I have multiple friends over the years that we have helped clean out like their grandparents' place or whatever, and you'll open up a drawer that's just loaded.
Right.
Like the bottom drawer of their dresser is just they didn't want to put money in the bank, or like between the mattresses, there's like sacks of
Yep.
money. Or it looks like a drug dealer's house, but
Right.
it's like they needed to have money available, and they didn't trust the banks. Which is crazy. But yeah, man, just
Which
different
again, if you
things.
lived through the depression, is absolutely understandable.
Yeah, yeah. It's just those are real stories that I know people probably like. That sounds so made up, but it's like we've lived a whole two generations now where that hasn't been a thing. So that's just not something you're probably going to hear about unless you've experienced it, which is funny. But all right, let's put that aside because you found out about something crazy that made my big back tingle. So I want to hear about this.
Yeah, more minor league baseball marketing. The Hartford Yard Goats are going to have I guess a Eras night on June 9th in celebration of Taylor Swift. And in honor of her song Anti-Hero, they're going to have an anti-hero hot dog that is, ready for this, a 2-foot long hot dog on an Italian roll. And the hot dog wiener is wrapped in 11 powdered donuts.
That's crazy.
And also the thing is covered in sweet candied pink and blue sprinkles with mustard and ketchup. I don't know how I feel about mustard on my powdered donuts, but
man,
again, these are all things I've probably eaten over the course of a day, but never like all on the same plate, so to speak.
Yeah, right? Like, because I'm sitting here thinking, like, don't be wrong, those are all things I like. I like a good bread roll for my hot dogs. I enjoy a good hot dog. I love donuts.
Yeah. I'm sure I've eaten a hot dog and probably 11 powdered donuts in the same day. But again, not not with the hot dog wrapped around the donuts.
Yeah, like, especially not together. One, not in one sitting, but definitely not together, right? And don't get me wrong, I've even heard of like the burgers made with two big donuts on the outside or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
the Luther Vandross sandwich from the Boondocks. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
so like
burger.
so I know that that's a flavor combination kind of that people are into. But I don't know, man. That's a lot. And you know that's going to be like a $30 hot dog.
Right.
That most people who get it are probably going to eat like a third of it and be done.
But they said it's for Taylor Swift, so you got to do it.
That's fair. I mean,
Because I
hey,
guess it's supposed to look like a friendship bracelet, and then it's gonna have Yard Goat spelled out on it. So those will be the, I guess, beads of the friendship bracelet, so to speak. But
man,
it'll be interesting.
if nothing else, this is what I want to always tell people is if y'all have never gone to a minor league baseball game, if you just got a few bucks and you want to entertain your kids for an afternoon or an evening, go ahead, man, because they always have great deals. Prices are cheap. Like, there's always something fun going on. There's like a giveaway. There's performers. There's always something. Like, it still amazes me to this day how professional baseball can be so boring at times compared to minor leagues when they own the minor league teams. Like, they're the ones who approve a bunch of stuff. So it's like, man, bring that to the pros because minor league games are always doing something crazy. Not to mention their teams have the best names.
Yeah, like Yard Goats.
Yeah, dude. I have one. The red shirt I wear, so I'm just the y'alls, like, which is crazy. But yeah, man, minor league baseball. I could do a whole episode on just that. Like, it's a whole
Right.
culture all its own for sure. But all right, let's get into a couple of quick topics here. All right, we did mention previously that YouTube had made a statement that they were going to go after AI channels, and now it looks like they have started hammering channels pretty hard for real. And people have kind of had some people, sounds like potentially, inadvertently had some of their channels blocked or banned. And they've had to go through steps to prove they're a real person and this, that, and the other, but people have wondered, why is this happening? Well, after people have kind of dug into it and researched a little bit, we've actually identified some things that are getting people potentially hit by this. The first is if you have fully packaged AI content, and fully packaged meaning very simple script that looks like it's written by AI, probably using AI generated images or something of that nature, AI voiceover, or potentially even a lot of clips that are just reused from other people's stuff, right? Without making them transformative. Along with that, when reviewing your channel as a whole, if they see a lot of repetitive thumbnails, right? Where it's like the same thing, same style art, blah, blah, blah. And like the art is slightly changed because that's a sign that maybe it's something you could have used AI to just hammer out like 50 thumbnails. So you just put up a bunch of videos very quickly. Additionally, same thing on the titles, right? Are they very simple titles? Are they using all the popular buzzwords? Are they repetitive titles? whatever, right? So if you have some number of traits of those in every single video on your channel, you get identified as being an AI channel. And it looks like they're going after people because several thousand apparently have already been gone after, and they're still hitting more. Now, obviously, they haven't gotten all of them because there's a lot, right? They're popping up left and right, but they're getting faster about identifying them. And they did say at some point they are using some of their own AI to go chase down AI because there's so many. And some of that was also training their side of what to look for, right? So that kind of makes sense why it didn't happen immediately. It's just like, hey, we know the scale is huge, so we're going to have to automate some of this. The downside is some people are getting caught in the crossfire that aren't AI channels, but most of them seem like they can work through it. It just takes a long time having to contact the right people and get a hold of them on socials, and it's a whole thing because you have a hard time contacting anybody directly at YouTube. But I guess we'd rather that than not. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, it's a crazy thing. I do still believe there's nothing wrong with using elements of AI at times, depending on what you're doing or if it's helping with your process. But when you're just going into AI and having it spit out stuff, then like you didn't really make anything. So I get why they're going that route. Plus, it's people said like, why does YouTube care or whatever? Because they have people paying. They have people paying billions of dollars for revenue
Exactly.
on ads. Right? The people buying ads want their stuff to be in front of real people, real influencers, real things that will motivate folks. Right? Channels that get that type of emotion out of people, so they're encouraged to go buy and follow up a link that they see or whatever. They don't want it to just be on some
Yeah,
generic
people with
voiceover.
actual influence.
Yeah. So if that were to happen and companies look at YouTube and go, well, there's nothing but a bunch of junk automated channels, they'll just try to keep going more directly and find people that can promote stuff, which cuts YouTube out, which YouTube doesn't want, obviously. And the scale of what you can get on YouTube is still always going to be better, right? Because they can put you on just way more channels. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. I think it's going to be an ongoing fight. I just think it was something worth noting. But you also said that there were some video game issues with AI this week.
Yeah, Resident Evil Requiem just dropped. Probably a really incredible Resident Evil game. The return of Leon Kennedy, and apparently, some site actually uploaded a review to Metacritic that was done completely by AI. Of course, Metacritic being one of the biggest site, kind of like the Rotten Tomatoes of video games. That was immediately caught, pulled down. The site apparently has been blacklisted now, so there. Hope it was worth it because again, a lot of your traffic is going to come from places like Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic. It's part of how you build authority. So that feels disastrous. But then I don't know how much money they're making off of because obviously a lot of sites are going that route where hey, we just fire all the writers. We do everything AI, and we can keep the writers' work up there, so we get the traffic that they bring in. Then you also, get whatever traffic comes in because again, like you said, you're going to stack it with search terms and buzzwords. And there've even been situations apparently where there are AI guides written for Resident Evil Requiem, and many of them dropped before the game even came out. So there's no way they could have played it and learned anything about it. But if you already
Yeah.
bought the guide, spoiler alert, they're a scammer. They're not sending you your money back. You just got to take it.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. And the other thing too, we've seen recently that AI hasn't been accurate. Matter of fact, there were two issues I saw in the past week with Grok that people had pointed out because one of them was they asked about what was it? Some document that had passed recently, and Grok was crediting a politician for passing it, even though that politician had nothing to do with it. It was getting the information from a post that that politician put up saying, "Hey, here's this document that passed." And it even has the signatures on it of the people who passed it. But even when it was pointed out, it was like, "No, it's on this thing." And they were trying to correct it and say like, "No, yeah, that's the person who posted it, but that's not the person that passed it." And it wasn't understanding. And we saw that again too with I guess there's been videos showing some of the stuff from Iran, and I guess somebody had posted a fake video or a fake post saying that, oh, this is the fires from LA and whatever. And it's like, no, it's not that. And people even showed where they cross reference images or whatever to show the actual signs on the streets and whatever. And the AI was still trying to tell them, like, no, even with their own comments coming in and saying, like, hey, this AI is incorrect. This is actual footage from this thing. And they even tried to correct it, it was still arguing with them. So having the gonads to just go use AI to outright write a full review and post that mainstream, whoo, you're taking a big chance. And worse, like you're saying, they got blacklisted now from the most popular site that people go check for rating games and stuff. So if you were trying to make inroads there, you're done now. And that's all it's going to take in a lot of fields. I think you're going to see that happen a lot where people are just going to lean on AI and be like, okay, cool. And then you get caught. And now hell, we saw it happen in Magic, right? A couple people tried to use AI for some artwork and it took from this place and that place. And like now they don't make art anymore. So it's going to be a continual thing, I think.
One of the sites I saw where they did that, where they closed down, fired all their actual writers, basically to get their severance package, they are making the writers sign an NDA.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, because of course, people, if it's a popular site, people realize, hey, why aren't you at such and such place anymore? And obviously, the person that has done this horrible thing doesn't want you to, because popular writers, people are going to ask them where they are, why they're not there anymore. And basically,
I'm
hey, if you like your severance package, you don't want to talk about that.
I'm gonna tell you
It's
straight
probably
up.
not legal, but
Exactly. I ain't signing it because that wasn't part of our agreement. I still get paid. So,
but how? You need your money, right?
oh, I guarantee you, there's even locals I know I could find that would take that because you usually sign an agreement getting on to begin with, or your work contract or whatever. Like nobody can
No,
really.
most video game sites now are freelance. There's no contract. There's no agreement.
You had to at least sign a contract for the work. You
And
may
it
not.
says basically that you're an independent contractor. They can terminate your services anytime they want to.
Sure. Even all my stuff I've done, that's the same thing. But if I've already completed the work, you still have to pay for the work.
Okay, let's say you live from paycheck to paycheck like normal American citizens. How would you hire a lawyer? You got rent to pay.
Oh, I
You
understand, but
you need that money.
oh, see if I wouldn't turn that into a big social issue, especially if I'm working for a big site. Oh, I would turn that into a story. Like that would be my throwback of either cool, you can pay me or you're gonna have a PR issue. We'll figure it
But
out.
is another site going to work with you if that's how you left your last place? You got to think about all these things because
I
they're all
would.
at this point
I would.
owned by huge corporations.
Yeah, that's also true. But me being me, I know I would do it. Like that may not be the case for other people, so I ain't gonna tell them they should do it. Like very different. But all right, let's talk about an interesting thing I found. Turns out Commandfest schedule got posted sometime in the last week because I didn't see it until this week. But of I think it was 16 events we saw listed, only two were in the US this time. And I found that to be interesting. There's no real explanation I could find as to why, but I think there's been a thing of people saying, hey, we want more international events, which totally fair. Nothing wrong with that. And I think we've had a lot of Command Fest in the US, just a lot of events in general in the US, right? We still have the Open Series, we still have all the regional events happening. They're about to start up the limited championship series qualifiers or whatever those things are. So there's going to be tons and tons of stuff still across the US. But yeah, only two this time, one in Tacoma,
And then
Washington.
also, with the current political climate, I think a lot of countries literally have warnings saying, "I wouldn't go to the U.S. if I were you right now." So you got to take that into account.
Yeah, that's real too, right? And it could be for that reason as well. Or, also just in general, if Wizards is saying, hey, we found better organizers in other places. We'll let them just run more stuff. And our other organizers in the US, they're still good because they're running other events. You know, but international conflicts do matter, right? And if people
Or not
aren't
even internet.
comfortable traveling,
It wasn't that many podcasts ago where we were having At an event in Dallas, a lot of people were saying they did not feel comfortable coming to Texas because of some of the anti-LGBTQ policies, which is again
Yeah.
understandable.
Well, I get it. Same thing with Florida. There's a lot of people who don't want to go to anything in Florida right now, right? So I totally understand that. It looks like these two events are going to be in Tacoma, Washington, and Alexandria, Virginia. So also interesting. Like Tacoma, I kind of get because you're not that far from Seattle. You're still like 20, 30-ish minutes from the airport. But Alexandria, Virginia is an interesting choice because normally you get bigger cities where those are. But yeah, those are the two we're gonna have. And 2 out of 16, and the rest are spread across the world. I believe Australia, I think, gets 2, Germany gets 2, China gets 2, and then there's still Canada, Mexico, Italy, England, Brazil getting the others. So, kind of a good spread across the world, and there's also one in the APAC region somewhere that hasn't had a location determined yet. So they're still trying to figure that out. But they start in May and they will run through December. So there will be plenty of events to talk about, attend, and whatever, regardless of where you are wanting to play your Magic, which I think is very cool because we haven't had a ton of international events to talk about lately. So it's kind of cool. Hey, well, I say that the international events have been competitive that you've been able to do before with a few Commandfest sprinkled in. It's kind of cool that there's more this year for the international players. Uh, There's another thing to talk about though, I guess somewhat when we talk about international conflicts drives prices up. We've seen that on a lot of things. But in general, over the last couple of years, we've seen inflation on all kinds of stuff. If you're a role player, you've probably heard of Paizo. They're the ones that make Pathfinder and Starfinder. And for those of you who don't know, if you don't play role playing games, you can obviously go buy like D&D, you can buy a hardback book that's usually going to be 50, 60 bucks, or you could get stuff in the app or you can get a PDF from the companies or whatever. Now, generally, the big benefit is that PDFs tend to be cheaper. So if you're just playing on your device or you're somebody who goes to your games and you do all your stuff from a tablet or whatever, it makes sense, right? It's easier for you to flip through. You don't have to carry books around. Cool. And you're saving usually a significant margin. However, Paizo made a post this week that said they were going to be increasing their PDFs from $39.99 to $49.99 starting March 16th. And what I wanted to ask you, Brian, is like, how do you feel about like paying $50 for a PDF of a book?
I mean, I think I've bought probably Madden guides that were 25, and essentially that's a PDF with a bunch of Madden plays on it. So I guess in a lot of ways, and actually, technically, I guess for a role playing thing, it's even more important because you can't play the role playing game without without the information.
Yeah, and that's
I technically can play Madden without the plays. I'll just lose a little bit more.
yeah, and that's sort of what I was trying to rationalize with myself of all right, it's a rule book, obviously has key things for playing the game, I guess. But I'm also like you, like that 25-ish mark, maybe even up to 30 is kind of where I feel okay with a lot of things. And then once we get north of that, I'm like, but then would I rather just have a hardback book? Even if it is saving me, like, I don't know, let's say it's saving me $10. Like, I'd probably rather just have the book. Like, I don't know. It's going to be a very personal decision for a lot of people. You know,
Well, it also
th-
depends on, what kind of space you're role playing in. If it's, just a huge space where you got plenty of elbow room, you'd probably rather have the book. If you feel like you're going to be a little bit cramped up, maybe you'd just rather have it on your phone or a laptop or something.
yeah, that's a good call too, right? If you're crowded around a small table or something when you play most of the time, there may not be room for a lot of books and dice and everything else, right? So that's a fair call out. It's interesting because of all the things I've seen increase in price, I hadn't thought about the price of PDFs going up. Now that might be because they have to pay writers more or who knows what, and I don't know their numbers.
Artists,
Maybe
designers, all that stuff.
yeah, I was say maybe some percentage. Let's say PDFs make up 70% of their sale. I don't know what the numbers are. Probably not 70. It's probably closer to like 30. But if it's a big enough chunk of their revenue, then if you are increasing the price of, like you're saying, the writers, the artists, whatever, then okay, PDFs also have to go up to help justify that, right? Or else you're just not gaining anything more on that percentage of sales to help pay for this extra work or labor or whatever. So it makes sense. It's tough. It's tough, but it makes sense. But hey, at least they came out. They were upfront about it. They posted. So if you're fans of the game, you know about it. It's coming. But I just found it to be very interesting because, again, while we talk about stuff going up in price economically, pretty much in all aspects of gaming, I never really thought about PDFs. I kind of just went, yeah, they're a document. People made them. They post them up, but they still have cost associated with them, right? That's still figured into the bottom line. And I think there will be people that say, like, ah, it's just a digital thing. Why is it so much? But like, just like the book, it's the same information. Somebody had to write it. Somebody had
Right.
to edit it. Somebody had to do the artwork for it. You know, somebody had to
And if
typeset it.
anybody's ever read a bad rule book, you appreciate a well-written one.
Bruh, tell me about it. like, just a couple of typos can change how something works. You know, so it makes sense to have that done up. Now, admittedly, books also come with their other costs because you have to source the materials, you have to print at a facility, you have to ship them, you know, whatever. So that's some of where that extra cost for a book comes from, right? They have to go through more for the physical aspects of it.
This is why you don't want the AI writing it. You know,
Dude,
these are
that's
things a
true.
human will pick up on.
That is very true. But yeah, I don't know. Not a huge deal. Just something I thought was worth noting that if you play any games right now that do have PDF portions or options available, don't be surprised if you see prices going up. I mean, it seems like a thing that you would think, oh, this will be safe from price increases, but not necessarily. Right? There's still costs to go into it, and the costs got to come from somewhere. But all right, Brian, I think that's going to do it for this week's episode. Again, I want to remind everybody if you want to check out some fun games for all types of stuff, because there's going to be Magic, Riftbound, I think some Pokemon, there's going to be artists, vendors, music, all types of stuff this weekend at the Hunter Burton Memorial Open. It's just hunterburtonmemorialopen.com. Be sure to go check it out, and you might even find us roaming around there. But when you're not at the show and you're not doing this show, Brian, where can they find you?
Right. I'm on Twitter at Brian Sonic. You can see me on YouTube at Uniquely Tish, and like I mentioned, we're going to be out at the Hunter Burden Open this weekend. So if
And
you're in the Dallas, Texas area, by all means, stop by.
yeah. And you can find me as always at PowrDragn, PowrDragn, with tons of stuff coming to the YouTube channel. So come over, watch it, make it worth it for me to keep posting all these things. But as always, wherever you're watching or listening, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Please remember to take care of yourselves and your family. Remember to be awesome. And most importantly, right now, with all the idiocy in the world, be awesome to each other.